Hello, peoples. It's the
Hey.
Burning Barrel, episode 157. Hello, Paul.
Hi. We've been doing this a while.
We've been doing this a while.
Yeah. Like, you and I more consistently than Nathan and I, for sure.
Yeah, you and Nathan got pretty inconsistent at the end of his tenure.
there was a... There was a point there, though, where we were pretty good weekly, around the same time, upload and everything.
Yep.
There was a time when that was actually a thing.
Before Nathan decided he hated video games and the internet.
Yeah, pretty much. And also, like, our schedules conflicting really didn't help things.
That was
Because,
when it really died.
yeah, because it was like, the day I have off is his first day of the week on.
hmm
So we are complete opposite. Whereas before we at least had one day.
hmm
But yeah, I don't know. I'm so I finally got the last two episodes up today because I had some time earlier this morning. I couldn't sleep well last night. I woke up after like about 3 hours of
Mm.
sleeping and was like couldn't get back to bed. So I came online. I was like, you know what? I have a bunch of shit I can like edit, throw together, and like put up. So
hmm
I'm gonna do that, and I did that for 5 hours this morning, from like 7 a.m. until roughly noon.
hmm
And then after that, I was just like, I think I should probably just like watch TV or something, like relax a little bit because I was in my computer chair a long time.
Yeah.
But the last two episodes are now cut and put up and all of that sort of stuff. It's nice when you find some time to just work on like little projects. I just haven't been able to for a bit now, but those are up, and I'm gonna try to do this one probably tomorrow night after work. I'm thinking,
Cool.
so it should be up on time, I think. But yeah, this was all kind of kicked off because we did a talk where we talked about Life is Strange.
Yes, that's why we're doing this on a Sunday instead of a Saturday, because we did that Life is Strange thing yesterday.
Yeah, and also after that, I wanted to finish off SGDQ. Like,
Oh,
I watched the last run, which was Chrono Trigger in 5.5 hours or something like that.
man.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I did kind of, you know, like have it on in the background with the sound off for a few hours, like doing other stuff and just kind of glancing over at it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because
Like,
Vent Chat was on last night, as it is every Saturday night on ventchat.com, 9 p.m. Pacific. So I actually caught
uh,
some of that, but
uh-huh.
I was also doing some editing stuff last night. But yeah, they talked about Discord. Like, Discord is like becoming the new hotness,
hmm
and it's kind of hilarious, but it's kind of well deserved. That program's real good.
It's pretty good.
Except,
Uh,
except I think it captured our voices weird for the thing I was talking about before, the spoiler thing.
hmm
Yeah. So,
yeah. When I've been using it, I have to constantly adjust my sensitivity for it picking me up on speaking,
yeah.
because for some reason the level will just change for no reason, and then it won't pick me up when I start talking. So I have to like be fiddling with it all the time.
That's really annoying. That sounds really annoying.
Yep.
I
I
know
should have.
Tony has that same problem. I don't necessarily think I do, but I can't really hear myself like come through obviously. So, I haven't
Yeah.
gotten many complaints though.
No, you seem to be fine. I just, I'm sure I was noticing because I also, since I knew it was happening, I kept track of in the program, making sure I saw the little light, green light go on for me talking when I was talking, and if it wasn't doing it, then I would adjust it. I was also just, it just got me doing it regularly because I wasn't doing anything else. So
Sure.
but it would be ridiculous if I was playing a game. Like I would get super frustrated.
That's one of the problems I have with it too, is that when I have a game open that takes up like full screen or whatever and is running like the task or whatever on top of Discord, the
Mm.
hotkey doesn't work. So like
Oh,
I
good.
have to click out of the game to unmute myself with my hotkey and then click back into the game.
Mm.
And that's really annoying because I got used to TeamSpeak, and what I like about TeamSpeak and Mumble and stuff like that is setting up a key on my keyboard that isn't used generally for games. It's specifically my right Alt button, like on the right
Hmm.
side of the spacebar, because that's
Yeah.
not usually used. Um, so yeah, I got used to every time I'm not talking, just to make sure there's no like background noise, or if I have to cough suddenly or whatever, I'll just mute myself quickly and then push it again when I want to talk.
Hmm.
And this is fighting me every step along the way, because if there's something taking up like priority or whatever, it's not reading in the background properly that I'm pressing that key to unmute, and
Hmm.
that's a problem. That's a big problem. So I hope they fix that, whatever is doing it.
Yeah, I mute my headset manually with a little switch on it, so I wouldn't notice that issue.
Yeah, I'm thinking the next step is like, since I have to replace this mic anyways, maybe getting one with like a kill switch sort of mute button on it
Hmm.
for that very reason. So yeah, because that's what I liked about when I had a headset before I started using like a microphone with just standard headphones, is that it had that button on the cord that goes up to the headset, and I would just push it every time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wore
this
out
is
fast though.
yeah, this has a little switch for mute, this
Hmm.
headset. And a little volume control thing on the headset itself. And that's it.
And headsets are better quality now than the one I got. I got specifically in 2006 for rating, because it was like my
Yeah.
other thing was dying, and they were just like, well, to be in this guild, you have to have Ventrilo and you have to have a headset with a mute button. So I was like, okay. So I went out and bought one, like a Logitech one at the time, and it was fine. But as the quality of technology goes, it's very quickly became like shitty quality compared
Yeah.
to every other headset you could get out there with noise cancellation and all that stuff, because they didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
Even in the old like Tale of Idiots videos, I still had that headset, so you can hear how like shitty the quality was in
Hmm.
comparison. It's kind of
Hmm.
funny and cringeworthy for me.
Mm.
But maybe I'll go for a headset now, because people are saying like they are the bomb now. And it would be nice to not have to lean in specifically, like when I'm just playing a game, to talk into a mic.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's I have a stand mic that's pretty good, but I prefer having a headset just because it's so much more convenient for me.
Right, yeah.
And
Anyway,
I
back
yeah.
to the topic at hand. We talked about Life is Strange because we finished episode 4, a group of us, this week,
Yep.
and felt that there was stuff worth talking about. Maybe.
Yeah. So they haven't shit the bed. They've been doing really good. The series kind of keeps being getting better in certain ways, just being
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah.
I really like this game. It's a great game.
It's doing everything with the story beats right. So I'm still a little nervous that they're going to do something to fuck it up. But at this point, they kind of painted themselves out of the corner I was afraid they were going to be in. So,
Hmm.
like, they were able to I mean, it's hard to talk about without getting into spoilery stuff, but something happens at the end of 3 that starts off 4 that it was like they could have opened up an avenue for a lot of, like, bullshit holes in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they kind of closed that promptly and got you back on track
Yeah. And
quick.
what I really appreciate about that, how they handled that in terms of an episodic release, is they tied that off and then like had what could have been a normal episode after that. Like
Yes.
they gave you a lot in that one episode. Like that felt so it felt like the 2 months built to a thing. I was like, holy shit, this is a whole nother thing I have to talk about and have feelings about and stuff.
Yeah. And we did for about an hour and a
Yes.
half, a little
Hmm.
less then. And I mean, you were there, I was there obviously. Two of the Spaghetti Cast guys, Ben and Peter, known as Drathius, and I think Peter goes by EHM, like M2K now. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's that. And
That's what he had. Yeah.
and Reese Lucagen was there as well to chat with us. So all of us got together, chatted, and I didn't really know how to put that out. I didn't want to just throw it on the site as like just a podcast thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know why, because it felt weird doing that, where it's like a feed of us talking about like movies and stuff and blah blah blah, and then just like this spoiler thing for episode 4 thrown in.
Yeah, it's probably fine. I've seen other podcast feeds when they do a specific spoiler thing, just put out a thing that says spoiler thing. it's it's not that super uncommon. I've seen it done before.
Yeah. Um like basically I put it out there anyways as like the audio only version if you want that, but it was primarily like a thing I threw up on YouTube with some gameplay. It actually gave me a reason to use some gameplay footage from when episode 1 came out. I streamed it, but because of like the copyright stuff and that game having a lot of music in it,
Mm-hmm.
it got like black flagged right
Hmm.
away and it's muted, but I was able to use that footage for something at least, so there's that.
Huh. That's cool at least.
Yeah.
That seems like a good way to put it out anyway.
Yeah.
So
And also I'm trying to tumble more on Tumblr, so I threw it up on there as well.
uh-huh.
Trying to throw stuff up on as many things as possible now.
Get that SEO going.
You know what the worst or the hardest part of all of it is though, is really tagging and knowing what like terms to use to tag stuff.
Uh-huh.
I feel I'm really bad at that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand why now there are internet companies that are like, we can help improve your SEO and stuff, and it's just because they know how to tag shit for search engines.
Yeah.
Because that shit, like, the obvious things you want to do, obviously, are like the name of the like thing that you're talking about or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's also other small terms you want to throw in there that I'm not really sure about, and I started throwing in like usernames for people involved in projects. So
Mm-hmm.
like so like even though you and I do a lot of stuff together, I started throwing in like I'm 3D Homer as a tag and stuff that you're a part of in case somebody's like, I wonder what else this guy has done, and then try to Google your name, etc. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
before, like, I wouldn't put our usernames in there, even though that
Mm.
seemed like a mistake now in retrospect. But
Yeah.
still learning. I'm still learning how to do this whole like getting people to your shit thing because I kind of don't want to do that. I don't want to be the guy that's like, well, we have to make sure that this is like the most visible. This is the most visible way to like show a thing off. I just want to be the guy that's like, I want to talk about stuff I like, and if you like it, you should be here too. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have to worry about that side of making sure people can hear it. I just want people to be able to be there if they know that it's there. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Like, I mean, for me, it's like putting enough. It makes sense to put enough out there because whenever I go down a rabbit hole, like that's how I like doing it. When I find something and then search out people who did it and see what else they've done or whatever.
right, exactly. So that's why it was like, okay, I gotta start putting like usernames for everybody in.
Hmm.
So like Drathius and stuff like that, in case somebody's like, I met this guy on Twitter, he seems fine, let's see what else comes up. Oh, he talked about this game I was interested in. Maybe like we'll check that out, and then yeah, that's the shitty part of all this internet stuff. I still don't know at all, even though I've been like throwing stuff out on it for years.
Just sitting here stuffing messages in bottles, throwing them out.
Yeah, hoping like maybe this one will wash up. Like, and it's weird because there every now and then one of those bottles seems to make it to a random shore and it
Mm.
works out, but like there's ways you can make sure that those bottles like are going upstream instead of like sinking to the bottom sort of thing. And that's kind of
Uh-huh.
what I'm learning, how to pad out those bottles with air to make sure they float and don't just sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, it's hard to talk about Life is Strange without spoiling it, so we didn't. We did a whole thing where we spoiled the shit out of it, and you should listen to that if you want to know more, I think.
Yep. And going into this last episode, I still don't know what's gonna happen, so that's awesome. Like that's super
And
exciting.
terrifying, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's just been great. Like as an episodic release, it's done a really good job. Every episode has felt like compelling. There's been enough content to each of them. I always want more, and I'm frustrated there's not more, but not because I didn't get enough, because what I got was good. Like, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
just put in Telltale to shame.
There's been a few times where I feel like maybe there's a little even too much in one of these episodes where it's like you didn't have to have this whole part. Like you didn't have to have this whole area I could explore because there didn't seem to be anything really worthwhile in there. So like
hmm
I've never felt that they were short, but
Yeah.
even like just the fact that I could say like you may have put more than you needed to in here, but like it's still
Mhm.
too short
I mean,
for me.
it does have like the adventure game thing of like I get into it unlocks an area where there's stuff you can look at, and I just have the feeling like now to rub my face on all the things
Yeah.
because I must rub my face on all the things.
And it's funny in a story sense too, because there's like something maybe somewhat urgent happening, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna help you, but first I'm going to read every note in your house.
Yeah, that happens. It's a
Eh,
classic.
it's a classic
Yeah.
video game thing,
Yep.
so
It is
it's
a
fine.
adventure game problem that you just have to. Because if you don't have that stuff, then it wouldn't be able to explore and experience some stuff on your own. Like it just, I don't think it would work as well. But there are trade-offs. There are trade-offs.
And if you were to just like streamline, like if somebody says, "Oh shit, I forgot something," could you go grab it for me before we head out? And you don't spend like an hour looking at everything. You're missing a lot of like the flavor of what's going on.
Yeah, for
Like if you
sure.
just go grab that item and then come back, you just missed an hour worth of like great content to build this world up.
Yeah, yeah. And there's good stuff in there. Like that, it's also usually worth rubbing your face on most things. Like some things aren't
Yeah.
important, but a lot of it's fun and cool to see and neat.
One thing that really helps me with that too, like being okay with it, is there's voice acting for everything for like her inner monologue,
Yeah.
and that helps. So it doesn't just feel like I'm clicking on something and like now I have to read 5 pages of text. Like it's not a chore. It's kind of just like experiencing something. It's almost just like watching something that you're in control of.
Yeah, no, for sure. Once adventure games got to the point where voice acting, like everything could be voice acted, I just want everything voice acted,
Yeah.
just because it makes even normal stuff so much more compelling to hear, like this character you care about say stuff. Like it's just always better.
That's kind of why I want to revisit those the like Leisure Suit Larry games that were remastered, specifically Land of the Lounge Lizards,
hmm
because I played that back in the day on like the old shitty computer we had back then when it was released, and
hmm
it was all bleeps and bloops for any sounds, but more importantly there was no voice acting or anything. And in the remaster there's a narrator doing like the parts of like reading out or what you're like looking at and stuff like that, and there's voice acting for the characters. So I kind of want to revisit that now just because of that fact.
hmm
And even stuff like dating sims and visual novels, Honey Pop really actually spoiled me, because the reason I felt that was okay to go through was that there was voice acting for everything. Like I didn't have to make up a voice in my head or something for every character. Stuff like that's
mm
important in a way when you're trying to like develop people in a game.
Yeah. Some games can get away with not having it if the writing is really good, but uh, like the Phoenix Wright stuff. But
Sure. I mean, the most important thing with Phoenix Wright is the objection, and they voice act that kind of. So we're good.
exact, yeah, yeah. But yeah, like when you have something with that's all the characters are over the top and really expressive in terms of how like there are like visual sprite animation like expressions and stuff, and the dialogue's well written, then you can make up for it. But it's so much easier to get like good like emotional connections with voice acting stuff.
Like, that being said, I agree with you about Phoenix Wright, but I would find it 100 times more compelling if it was all voice acted, personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So either way, like, some things do get away with it, but I I'm gonna make a hard argument that if you have voice acting in something, it's just better than not having it, unless it's like really bad, obviously. But
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Uh, yeah.
I'm
I
lazy.
always I always get a little frustrated with stuff that like there have been games that the main plot line is voice acted, but then the like side conversation stuff isn't.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like I get it why that doesn't happen, but it's always better when it's full voice acted. Like that's
yeah.
Fire Emblem Awakening. The main plot line is all voice acted, but the side conversations I don't think are. They just have like stock phrases for the characters to say on certain lines to like get across the emotion, but they don't fully read the lines. Whereas Devil Survivor Overclocked, the 3DS remake of that game, all the dialogue stuff in that is voice acted, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. But yeah, Life is Strange is something you should experience for yourself, I think. Like, don't go and listen. Like, it's weird because it's like, I want you to, like, listen to us talk about it, but
Yeah,
you really shouldn't unless you already know what happens. Like, at all. Even if it means watching, like, a Let's Play because you don't want to play through it yourself, whatever. Like, just find that story out for yourself somehow first and then listen.
yeah, yeah. As someone who totally will listen to a breakdown conversation type thing of a thing I haven't watched yet, and then watch the thing, like I can't. I'm that kind of person that will do that. So I
I
would say yes, people should play Life is Strange because it's worth playing,
Well, I
but
mean, that's the thing
enjoy
is
it the way
that,
you want to.
like, we're not talking about spoilers here, as in, like, Darth Vader is Luke's father sort of level, where it's just
Yeah,
kind of like a
exactly.
fluff thing. Like, the
Uh-huh.
whole reason why you like Life is Strange is because you get into the story and like the characters, and then what happens that we talk about has more impact than if we just talk about this thing that happens to characters you don't even know.
I mean, I'm listening to a episode by episode podcast breakdown of Sailor Moon before I'm watching the episodes, so I can't even talk. Like they're talking
Weird.
about all the like super minor shit that's happening in those episodes too. That yeah, I'm just weird like that. So enjoy the stuff the way you want to enjoy it, but yeah, it's worth playing. It's worth experiencing.
Sure, sure. Either way,
We
that's
all
available.
care about enough it to talk about it a lot, so
Yeah, and we did, and that's available for you now. So there you go. That's kind of all I did. I played more Terraria, kind of. And I solely blame Tenmar for this because he's just like randomly, I have a bunch of like quest fish. Do you want some or whatever? And I basically was just like, well, I'm not really doing anything. Sure, I'll log on and get them. And when I did, I logged into my world to throw them back into like some chests or something so they weren't in my inventory, and then didn't log off for 7 hours after that.
Mhm.
So, the reason why I got a little bit back in though is because I looked something up and realized, oh shit, I have like everything except for one thing for this sword that's gonna make my life way easier. So I just got that one thing from Ben. Actually, Ben had an extra one
Mhm.
and made it like the sword. So like, and then after that, it's like, well, I want to play with the new toy I crafted, and then did more stuff. It's a rabbit hole I got sucked down into again for a little bit. But
Fair
I'm
enough.
clean, man. I'm clean. We're good.
You got your whatever 1 day pin for being clean for 24 hours or whatever, how many days it's been.
Yeah, I think a day. I think it's been a day,
All right.
technically. So, yeah. That's still a thing that's going on. But other than that, I haven't really done much.
Mm, fair enough. I did a bunch of stuff. So I'll talk about some video game stuff first.
What's a video game?
I don't know, man. I hear it's StarCraft 2 is a video game.
Yeah. It
It's been
it
around.
was. I don't know if it's still doing anything.
And it shall be again. So you can pre-order the game right now, the new expansion, which is Legacy of the Void,
Yeah,
which is like $40. Uh, and so that gives you access to the beta, and the beta has a three-mission prologue campaign for the game that sort of the bridge in terms of plot between the end of Heart of the Swarm and the start of Legacy of the Void. It's called Whispers of Oblivion, and you're basically playing as Zeratul. Whereas I don't think in
nice.
Legacy of the Void you're going to be playing as Zeratul. I think you're going to be playing as probably the new leader of the Protoss. I forget his name. They name him at the end of the thing. And the prologue missions are okay. Like there's no big story reveal really. It's not that interesting, but
Any
it's
new
three
units though?
missions. Mm, not. I think there are new units in the game, but I don't think you use any of them in the campaign. You just get to use Zeratul in a mission. Yeah.
Huh. All right.
So the first mission is like you have to rescue some Protoss people in this evil Terran base. They're sort of being controlled by the big bad. But at the same time, Kerrigan shows up with the swarm shows up that's going to wipe this whole place out. And since Zeratul and Kerrigan are sort of allied and interested in the same thing, you're not supposed to fight her. You have to like find your way through this base before the Zerg totally destroy it. So
I'm
you're sort
getting
of
the
on
name
the clock.
Artanis, by the way, just as a side note.
Yeah, Artanis. Artanis is who you're probably going to play in Legacy of the Void. So that mission's okay. That's not my favorite kind of mission where you have to like get to somewhere on the map before in a certain amount of time. Those missions always frustrate my style of play for playing campaign StarCraft stuff. The second one is a weird map where you don't have any Vespian geysers to collect Vespian gas, but this
Weird.
planet is like exploding with Vespian gas. So there are certain places on the map that will sort of explode with Vespian gas, like pickups every once in a while, periodically. And then there's some other like side quest stuff you can do to get more Vespian gas. So that just gives a little interesting dynamic to it. What are you fighting? You're fighting evil Protoss in that level, which is also interesting. And the third one is one of those missions where you control Zeratul. You have limited number of troops, and it's like one of those where you don't have a base levels. And that's based around like using Zeratul himself, like him as a unit. So he has like Blink, his big strike to deal damage, and he has like a group shield thing.
Does it seem weird to you that a planet exploding with Vespian gas doesn't have any geysers from any of the explosions, where it's just continuously like pouring out?
Well, there are geysers, but you can't build on them because they're not like standard, so they would make your buildings blow up, I guess, if you built on them.
Okay, you know what? That's a pretty good like in universe way to explain that. Okay, I
Yeah.
concede. We're good.
Yeah. So those are fine standard missions. If you like playing Protoss, they're okay, but they're not like as good as it's not as good as like the side Protoss stuff in original StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, that like mini campaign of Protoss stuff that was better. So, eh, it's not you don't need to rush out and pre-order it if you're really unless you're super jonesing for StarCraft 2 content or you want to play. I think you can play multiplayer beta stuff early too. So if you want to do that, but I'm more interested in the campaign currently. So that was the thing I played.
Cool. Well, it sounds interesting. I never did get Heart of the Swarm at all.
Uh-huh.
So I'm behind either way. I won't be pre-ordering, that's for sure. But knowing me, one weekend I'll be like, you know what I really liked? StarCraft. I'll just buy like all of it and play through like 20 hours in a setting.
Fair enough. Did you play through all of Wings of Liberty?
I'm at the last thing in that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I liked Heart of the Swarm a lot. It was really good. Okay. Next, I'll talk about Magic Duels, which is free to play Magic the Gathering.
Is this something I could learn on?
Yes, it is super heavy with tutorial stuff up front because they're positioning this as if you haven't never played Magic the Gathering, you can play this for free, Hearthstone style, and earn while you play, you earn coins to get cards. And going forward, from like all the cards that start in this, going forward will contain every Magic the Gathering card. So it's like a new start push forward for this is like and they're never so they've made a bunch of these duels of the planeswalkers games, so they've been working on this engine for playing Magic for a while, but previously they've been doing a really annoying way of releasing them of with a new expansion. We put out a duels of the planeswalker game. It comes with certain cards. There's limited deck building stuff in it. Then you can buy expansion packs for cards. So it became sort of pay to win because you could buy those cards, get better cards by spending the money. Because you can play online in all those games. But then, like whatever months later, a new expansion comes out and they release a whole new game that you have to buy, and then more expansion packs. It sucked. But so this is the game period moving forward for this stuff.
Why is it that when I saw like the user reviews on Steam, it has a mixed result instead of a positive? Because this sounds all good.
It had a lot of server issues when it first launched, so that was a lot of it.
Oh, so like just reactionary internet stuff of this game you're giving me for free isn't working this minute I want it, so negative review, fuck you, sort of thing.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Like that was primarily the thing. It wasn't working at all. It was sort of weird too. Like they put it out under the radar. Like it was hard. I knew it existed. It was hard to find it on Steam for me. Like they took it. It wasn't working to the point where I think they were taking it off of search results. It was weird, and they didn't really publicize it all that heavily. But it
Weird.
exists. And the bigger problem is when the server connections weren't working, you couldn't even progress through the campaign because free to play stuff. So they want to be tracking and making sure because you get coins for playing through the campaign for unlocking card stuff. So like Hearthstone, it didn't work when you weren't online.
Well, I mean,
Hearthstone does that same thing. It sucks, but they have to do it to monitor their economy system.
all of this stuff with like the online always stuff is
Yeah.
annoying to me, but I kind of am starting to concede that like this is just the way life is for gaming now because everything is connected to servers for these companies for like the very basic stuff, analytics, but more important stuff like DRM purchases and whatnot. So like I understand why it's a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to come around to like this is just life now. This is how gaming is for everything. I mean,
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
fine. I've come to terms with it in free to play stuff.
yes,
Based
that's
on
kind of what I mean.
transactions. Like the NBA 2K games have had issues with this because of their stupid currency for like that you use on spending shoes in those games that I hate that's in there, but whatever, it makes them a lot of money, but that it fucked up the game being playable because that game needed to be always online for that shit. That was insufferable. That I fucking hate because that's a $60 game.
Yeah,
But
that's a little grosser. That's kind of like Diablo 3.
mhm,
Like that I remember that came out and because it always needed to be played online or whatever, they had server problems on release day and like basically nobody could play the fucking game single player even though it's a single player game that you can play multiplayer sort of thing. Like yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I'm saying like for the free to play model specifically, I understand that the always online thing is just a thing they kind of have to do because they have. I mean, with the analytics thing, it's a investor thing, a tool. So like
Yeah.
they have to make sure people this thing that they're putting out into the universe for free is worth like seeing enough people that it's worth their time to do it. and then like the purchases and stuff like that. When you're dealing with people's money, you have to make sure that's always available, and there's no way to do it unless you're online. So there's
Yep.
that too.
I was worried that it like crashed right when so it didn't kick me off immediately, but I finished a mission. So I think it checked at the end of doing a thing and then it disconnected me and I didn't know if I was going to get the coin I'd earned for doing that mission once I reconnected, but I did. So that's fine.
Okay.
They managed that part correctly. Also, I think they might have reworked it so it's not constantly checking. It might just be checking specifically when a transaction's supposed to happen, where you're supposed to get coin. Because I don't think I got kicked. I didn't notice being kicked or being able to play any other time. Also, it would let you play when you weren't online. You just couldn't actually progress in the campaign. It's a weird thing,
Well, it sounds
but
like what it does is like some
yeah.
offline caching option, and it probably
Mhm.
can't do that with like campaign stuff. It's probably only for transactionary things.
Yeah, and because the campaign it was locking you out from progressing in the campaign specifically because playing through the campaign gives you coins.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like, well, there's no point in you doing this thing if you can't get the thing you get out of it. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
So the other interesting thing this does, so the first thing you have to do in it is play the campaign. You can't play online or because you get your cards from doing that or build a deck at first. Like Hearthstone, you have to play through the tutorial first. But whenever a new specific mechanic comes up through the campaign, it will take you out of your game into a separate, like constructed scenario where it gives you like a turn to specifically do the thing that, like, of understanding how this mechanic works. It's like specifically showing you how this a scenario that will make it clear how this mechanic works. Then you complete that, it gives you some coin for completing that, and then it sticks you right back into the game you were in.
Oh, okay.
So that happens periodically for whenever you're first encountering one of the major mechanics of like trample or flying or stuff like that. First strike. So
Hmm.
it's actually and it because it tutorializes all this stuff, I think pretty well. I think it's a really good place to start. It's free, which is like the biggest thing for introducing someone to this game. There is online, there is deck building stuff once you get cards. This seems to be the way to play the game if you're totally new.
Does it give you like, okay, so as you know, I'm new and have been
Yes.
interested in kind of learning this game and kind of got a little distracted maybe after the first time I played
Hmm.
it. Is it the deck they give you when you start off? Is it like noob friendly where like I won't necessarily need 8 fucking mana to play anything in my hand?
For sure. When they're playing through the campaign, you're playing a white weenie deck, which is all low mana cost creatures. So you're playing something basically every turn
So you
just to
feel
get.
like you're actually playing the game and not just waiting to die.
Yeah.
Okay, that is huge because I had like, well, I mean, I wasn't streaming it, but I was talking to you, I think,
Hmm.
and just like, I can't fucking play anything. This requires like 4 mana and 2 white. What the fuck am I supposed to do
Yeah, I
on
think
turn three?
you got unlucky in the decks you picked to picking some of the slower ones because you were only playing against people who were using those same kind of decks. So
Yeah.
that those people were playing stuff means that they probably were using better decks. That was probably a bunch of that was probably luck.
All right. Well, if there's some way that like this game is like like you can actually do something every turn, I'm already interested.
Yeah. Also, the it looks like they start you out with a lot of commons. So with regular Magic the Gathering, a booster pack is 15 cards, and it's like one rare, maybe one mythic rare, three uncommons, and the rest are common cards. And I think
Okay.
sometimes one of those cards is just a land. But so in the online on this Magic Duels, they give you most of the commons up front. So then the packs are only 6 cards, but there's 1 rare, 2 uncommons, and 3 commons. So you're
Okay.
still getting the same number of rares per pack, which are like the best cards usually. Sometimes uncommons are better, uh but so you're not like just getting packs just to get the commons to have like the normal fodder cards you need. You are still like just getting you have like a good base to start from, which can be a hard thing with a new set of like getting the commons you need just to fill out a deck.
You should consider streaming some after this and showing me it.
Yeah, I mean I did stream when I played.
I know, but I was working. I couldn't
Yeah,
do
I know.
anything about it. I got home. I was like, sweet, gonna sit down here with my drink and watch some Magic. What the fuck? He's offline.
I just stopped. I had just stopped. I'd been streaming for a while too. Like I'd streamed some of it, then I had server issues, so I just streamed random matches of me playing with my decks on Magic the Gathering Online,
Oh, okay.
which is like the straight. That's like
The one
the
I got
hard.
frustrated with. Yeah.
But for me, that's the hard stuff because that's like strict recreation of the paper game with way all the cards going back.
So that's what you want, though. Like, as a player of that game, I'm assuming that's the one you actually like.
Yeah, but that version involves spending a lot of money. So if I was
Oh.
really gonna playing, like, it's cool if I could have a free version to be playing. Like that would
Yeah.
be. That was one of the reasons I wanted to get into Hearthstone, but it just didn't because it still wasn't close enough for what I wanted.
Hearthstone's
But
a little pay to win. Let's all be honest here.
yeah, it's still pay to win. Yeah.
A little bit. Like, you can go through it without spending money, but you're gonna have a bad time.
So the real key to Magic the Gathering Online to me is that there's a whole secondary market which operates on like their event ticket economy. So you can like get around having to buy booster packs. You can just strictly get the cards you want off of actual people, usually selling bots. But
That
so there's
sounds
like a
good.
whole that's the other big difference for that thing is that it has its own economy set up.
Okay.
So like when you're super deep into it, that's like a less that becomes much less frustrating. Like I can build a really good deck for cheap because I can get specifically the cards I want and need. Like also
Sure.
in Magic there are a lot of the decks can be super expensive, the best ones, but there are also generally competitive decks that can be much cheaper because there's just so many things you can do.
Right.
But for new players, Magic Duels is the thing.
Like, this is what you should download and maybe go through the tutorial and some single player and get a handle on the game, then you can play.
Yes. Yep. This thing is good.
So they kind of Hearthstoned their own game. Like, they put in the
Yes.
things that you need to really learn the game and made it accessible enough that, like, if you're brand new, you can jump in, learn the mechanics, and then play.
Yep. And their thing actually came out on iOS first, weirdly enough.
Oh, all right.
Like it's actually I couldn't play it on iOS because it's too intensive for older iPads and uh, iPods. Like my devices were too old for it. I think you need like the latest stuff to run it because it's for whatever reason it's more intense.
So it's actually a $500 game, mobile game.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a bad deal. A $500 mobile game is a bad deal.
Yeah, but on Steam it exists and it's free now, and it's coming to consoles at some point soon too, like Xbox One and PS4, because that's where the Duel of the Planeswalkers game started, was being like 360 PS4 version, PS3 versions of Magic. That's like where I played these games. I played two of the Duels of the Planeswalkers games on 360 a couple times, just because I like Magic. This thing is like $15. I'll play through this. I'll
Sure.
play enough to make this worthwhile, just because I like this game.
I played a demo for Planeswalkers or whatever the fuck it was at the time. Like,
Yeah.
this would have been maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And
Mhm.
I was just like, this is fucking horseshit, and uninstalled it, like, after 3 turns. I was like, I don't understand a goddamn thing about this, and I turned it off.
Well, great, because this is pretty similar to that. But yeah,
Yeah, cool. But free.
but free.
There
This
you go.
thing is free. So the next game I played, last game I played is Spaera.
Oh, I'm interested in this. This is basically Tetris Battle Gaiden, right?
It is Tetris Battle Guide, and without the Tetris name, so there are changes to it that are like we had to make these changes because this is what allows us to make this game.
Yeah.
So like there isn't a 4 block straight piece. There isn't a Tetris piece because that would be copyright infringement. There's a 5 block straight piece. They
Really?
basically have a bunch of they have a couple like 5 block pieces, which I think exists because like that's the thing that
So it's
allows you to
like
make a Tetris game that's not Tetris.
it's like you can get a pentatris.
Yeah.
Weird.
So
Okay.
there's also a block that's like 5 pieces where it's 1 block in the center and 4 around it. There's a 5 block like step ladder piece. I think that's those are the only ones. Those are the only extra shapes. So that there are like different shaped pieces, it can get frustrating. You're like, oh, I'm not used to like dealing with this kind of shaped piece. What the hell? Oh, there's also a T. There's like a 5 or whatever.
Like a 3 and 2.
Yeah, a 3 and then there's like two at the top on the side too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those pieces can get annoying to deal with because you're not used to playing Tetris. So suddenly you'll have like your Tetris board set up the way I like, and then you'll have this piece that you're just not used to dealing with, and you don't know where to put it, and you get annoyed.
You know what's
But
weird that you're bringing this up is that there was recently, like within the last month or two, like Did You Know Gaming about Tetris specifically, and it sounded like they originally wanted to do 5-part pieces, but thought like this is too much. Let's simplify it more, and got the perfect formula with 4. So to hear that like a game has to go back to like the worst model of the game
Mhm.
is kind of shitty, but I understand why they have to.
Yeah, they couldn't. Like it's copyright stuff. They wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to do it otherwise. Also, interestingly, so it's other than that, it's really similar to Tetris Battle Gaiden with like characters that then have powers based on getting those power blocks out of a line, and then you have like 4 levels of powers you can use. One with depending on how many you have stored up. But one of the big differences is in Tetris Battle Gaiden, your first number 1 power is always something to help you out. It's always like a beneficial thing. So like you're in a trouble, you get one power gem clear, you can use it immediately, get yourself a little breathing room. In this, generally that's at the level 2 power. Whereas the first power, your first level power is annoying your enemy in some small way.
Like,
Which I think
give me
which
an
also
example.
so like in Tetris Battle Gaiden, your first power will like say it could be to get rid of like 3 lines or whatever.
Sure.
In this one, some people your second tier power will be get rid of 3 lines or whatever.
What's like
Whereas
the
like
annoying
your
one?
annoying one will be like your opponent's piece will randomly spin as it's falling. Their piece will
Wow.
fall slower, or for a while they won't get pieces out of the queue in the middle that you both share. They'll get random pieces. That kind of stuff.
That's kind of weird for a one prawn attack to me. Like, I think it should be the other way where for one, you would like save yourself some grief, and then what you can build up to fucking over your opponent. Like, it seems weird that they're going the opposite direction from what it should be, where it's like, no, you're just always screwing over your opponent, and as long as you have decent play, you're fine.
Yeah. again, it feels like it's a concession they had to make to not getting sued
Okay.
because their game is so similar to Tetris Battle Gaiden. But yeah, that feels like a like one of those like, well, as you can see, it's clearly a different game because in this game all your level 1 powers are helpful, and in this game all your level 2 powers are helpful. They changed it slightly, so it's fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Tetris, but Battle Gaiden, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. So, would you recommend it?
Yes, for sure. The beta is free to download from their website, so I totally recommend just downloading this thing and playing it.
Can
Uh,
we battle each other online?
so the problem is in the beta, the only online play is like an arcade mode where you theoretically are gonna play against the computer, but then it goes, here's a challenger, and it pairs you up with someone randomly. Right now, that's the only way to play people online, which is kind of annoying. But I think that's just because beta. I assume. Like I hope not. I hope there's matchmaking when this game finally is actually out. But right now there's only that for online stuff. There's you can do local multiplayer against two people or just play all offline, but there's no way to just battle someone that I found, which is frustrating. But
I
it's free right now, so I can't complain too much.
I like that it has like besides the gameplay stuff, it seems to have kind of the silly personality that Battle Gaiden had as well. Like the characters all seem different and
Yeah,
like
yeah. I really like the
neat.
personality. It has if you're not super familiar with like new Tetris style feel of rotating the block at the bottom and the quick drop of pressing up and the button go down, that can be weird, but I've been playing that's in Puyo Puyo Tetris, so I'm totally used to that form of Tetris
Wait,
now.
who's not used to what the hell is that called? T spinning or whatever.
Like people who are super there are people who are super particular about only liking the old style of Tetris,
Oh, I
like
see.
old Game Boy Tetris. Like I just know those people exist. So
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So this has all that modern stuff. Like what really sold me on that modern stuff though was like watching like Grandmaster Tetris stuff, which is so intense and has all those changes to it. So yeah,
I
but this
I
has
can't
all
wait to
the
try it. I
yeah
just downloaded it.
this has all the like the mind game stuff of like maintaining the queue from Tetris Battle Gaiden, where you're like trying to like line up what piece you're gonna get and trying to make sure you get all the power pieces and stuff.
Okay. Cool.
So it's really cool. I'm like super excited. It's super fun. It's super fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to trying it out now. I have it downloaded, ready to install. I'm not going to do that, obviously, in case it breaks something as we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
this. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm stoked. I
Yeah,
can't
but
wait.
I totally suggest everyone out there go find this game and play it because it's fun.
Especially since fucking Giant Bomb made it like impossible to find Tetris Battle Gaiden for less than like $80 now because
Yeah,
of the times they played it and like sold out every copy on eBay.
yeah. So apparently, there were people playing this at Evo, which
Nice.
then led to Giant Bomb hearing about it, and Giant Bomb played it on it and Professional Fridays recently, like a couple weeks ago, which is how I heard about it. It's a good game. People should play it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So I've also been watching Degrassi.
All right, we're done for tonight. How have you been liking the best thing to come out of Canada?
It's like surprisingly compelling. Like I'm kind of surprised at how compelling it is, consider how like forced issue it is and how gleeful like how often it will make all the characters fucking horrible for an episode. Like it doesn't pull any punches of saying like, "Oh, it's this person's turn to be a monster."
That's just realistic, though. Everybody has their shot.
Yeah,
Yeah. How do
they
you?
just have. I
It's
also
it's
my
weirdly
favorite.
after school programming. Like it is the quintessential after school program.
Mm. So David Hebrew Lantern, who we do D&D with,
Never
he's been
heard of that
he's
dude.
been streaming it through Rabbit. So there have been a bunch of us watching it, and they started the beginning and have been sort of working forward. We're like at the grassy high now.
Oh, okay. So you finished the original uh,
It's still
thing.
like original cast.
Well, yeah, but it's not like them being young anymore,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Like the
No,
problems are real now.
we got to high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I love my favorite thing about it is the end music when it's like nothing's resolved, shit is horrible, and then the happy music plays.
Yep.
I fucking love that. That is, ah,
You
it's
grew up
like
in the wrong
feed me your
country.
tears, feed me your tears. A show that I grew up with that sort of did that was Digimon. Digimon did that shit. They put
Did
their
it?
happy jingle, like they introduced their happy jingle right at the period of that show where shit was getting dark and every episode ended sad. So that was awesome. So I've had that experience before, but it's just I always like that. I'm always a fan.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a weird thing to do, but it's kind of funny in a way.
My favorite is when Wheels' parents die. They're like the music is like quiet at first and then builds up to being happy. Like it's like that one was just a little too dark for them to just hammer home the happy music. That's like the one time they don't
They
do
had
that.
to
But
feather it in.
it still feathers and then builds to being happy. But like you end an episode like, oh, the school's burned down, da, 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 like freeze frames on a shot of flames coming out a window.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
mean, it's standard fare for like that time period too.
Uh-huh. Like yeah, all the issues stuff. Oh the god, the episode's about Archie's dad, brother being gay. Oh my god.
There's some
It's
heady shit in that show.
yeah. Yep.
See, it's weird because it's like you all are revisiting it and whatever, but for me, it's just like, oh, that's that program that was like on after school like every fucking day in like grade 3. Fuck that shit. Like I don't want to. I didn't like watching it back then, even though nothing else was on besides like Ricky Lake.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like I have other stuff I can watch. I've seen all of this before. Whatever.
Yeah, I've never watched this show before. It hits I don't know. I wouldn't be watching it if it weren't if like there weren't a group of people watching it.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
when they were first doing it, it's like, why are you guys doing that? But when they kept doing it, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'll go hang out with these assholes. And then
Sure. Yeah.
somehow, like, I found it way more compelling than I expected to for being fucking bizarre and fucked up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just
I
getting
mean, it
like,
is that. I just don't have any nostalgia for it.
fair enough. I mean, I don't have nostalgia for it. I just have current affection for it.
Yeah. I didn't really have affection back then either, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can totally see why it wouldn't interest you as a kid. As an adult, it's like, oh man, teenagers are hilarious.
But they annoy me. So, like, I still don't think I could revisit it because I would just be annoyed.
I just find teenage bullshit like hilarious as I've gotten older.
See, like, I think that's where we might differ because I just find it way more irritating, which is why I'm really glad they kind of went away from the teenage drama bullshit that was happening in Life is Strange. Like, there's not as much, like, dumb chatter about shit in that
Yeah.
game anymore. Like, the first episode was kind of filled with it, and it was cringeworthy to me to a point where it was hard to get through some spots, but it's gotten way more supernatural than teenage shit now, so I'm good.
Yeah. Yep. I just like all that shit for whatever reason. That shit. I like it now.
Fair enough.
Um and other than that, I watched the new Mission Impossible movie Rogue Nation.
Is it more Mission Impossible?
It's more mission I mean, okay. It's more Mission Impossible. It really is the first Mission Impossible movie that feels very tonally similar to the previous one. Because two doesn't really feel like one because of John Woo's bullshit. Three is a whole different animal, which sort of weirdly, because it's J.J. Abrams, actually just feels like a repurposed Alias script, oddly enough.
3 is Philip Seymour Hoffman, right?
Yes.
It's so good. I love that one. It's
Philip
so
Seymour
dumb.
Hoffman made that like coming right off of Capote, and he's so fucking intense in that movie.
He's creepy. He is so creepy.
Yeah, he's really good in that movie. And then 4 is like Brad Bird, and it's fucking beautiful and good action stuff, and it's just very
Was
different.
that Ghost Protocol?
Yes,
Okay.
I really like that one. And this one's really good. It's directed by I forget the guy's name, but he's actually been working with Tom Cruise a bunch. Like I think, wrote the screenplay for Edge of Tomorrow, and he directed Jack Reacher.
I kind of
Another
like
Tom Cruise
Reacher.
movie. I also kind of like Jack Reacher.
Okay, so we're in agreement that like we both know that movie's kind of dumb and bullshit, right?
Yeah,
But it's
sure.
super entertaining for what it is.
I love the moment like where Tom Cruise hides by standing in a crowd of people, and they somehow found a crowd of people that was all as short as he is.
Yeah.
That movie is some hilarious, like hiding Tom Cruise's short moments.
There's some real dumb shit in that movie, but it's overall it's not boring. That's the best thing I can say about it. Like you'll have fun with it in one sitting. I don't
Yeah,
know if I'd do another.
no, yeah, Jack Reacher is totally like, if you watch this movie on Netflix, you're like, wow, this is great. Why did I never hear about this? That was a fine action movie to watch when I just wanted a dumb action movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the guy is Christopher McQuarrie, who wrote the screenplay. He wrote the screenplays for Jack Reacher, Edge of Tomorrow, and this, and he also directed Jack Reacher and this. So
Okay.
he's sort of Tom Cruise's guy at the moment.
His
And this
bitch.
was, yeah, whatever. He's is like the guy who will direct Tom Cruise and deal with his insanity. Uh, but this was a really good action movie. This is a good fucking summer blockbuster, roller coaster, thriller, spy shit movie. It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Worth seeing then?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Like, you want summer action. This delivers summer blockbuster action. It's got like Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg back from the last movie. Ving Rhames is again in the Mission Impossible movie. He was like
Of course he
barely in the
is.
last one. He was barely in 4 for whatever reason. He's a bigger part in this one. Uh, the new female character is played by Rebecca Ferguson, remember, who plays a character that's like, oh, like this is the character that fucking Black Widow should be in those Marvel movies. Like, this is a
Oh.
great female spy character.
Oh,
Fuck.
okay. I thought you were going to go the other way where it's like, "Oh, this is a worse Black Widow."
No, she's
Okay.
way better. She gets in a fucking amazing knife fight at the end.
Oh, okay.
Really good. And like is always sort of playing both sides against each other. Like, it's actually doing spy shit. Like, they gave her way more to do. It's great. She's not
Cool.
just like on their team. She's like, or you don't know which side she's on. She's doing all weird stuff. And it has all like it has classic Mission Impossible like mission setup stuff that is all fun. It doesn't 4 had these like amazing spectacle moments that Brad Bird pulled off that just fucking looked great, like the desert scene and the climbing on that tower. That this doesn't recapture. Like, this doesn't have those fucking amazing shots, but it's still really good action, really well paced, and it's like just keeps you moving along that roller coaster. What this movie does have is a much better villain than 4 did. He's got this movie like has a character who's basically the anti Ethan Hunt, and so it comes out much better on the villain front. Like, it's the best one since it's the like second best one probably since besides Philip Seymour Hoffman. And it's a much different character, but
Cool. Sounds
good
cool.
villain. Yeah, this is a fun movie. Highly recommended. And it's like that like you've got a whole team of good characters who are movie star actor caliber, and they're all really good and it's really fun. And you're like, oh right, this is why the Avengers sucks because movies like this can happen and they're just fucking good and fun and don't take themselves so seriously and don't get involved in melodrama and they're just fun action. Fuck, this is a good movie.
How did you feel about 2, Mission Impossible 2?
I only saw it in the theaters when it came out and I fucking hated it, so I never watched it again
That
because I
movie's
hated it at
fun.
the time.
That has some fun shit in it. It is the worst one, though. Like, in terms of a film.
Uh-huh.
But,
I
don't know.
really remember. I fucking like all I remember is like that first opening scene of him climbing on that rock, and then the sunglasses, and then he throws the sunglasses, then it explodes.
Limp Bizkit did the theme. What else do you need?
I'm not. I was never a Limp Bizkit person, so.
I know why you want to hate me. That was kind of atrocious, though, like, being honest, where they took the classic Mission Impossible theme and then, like, made it rock, like a hard rock, which is fine. But then they added the worst lyrics on top of it. The worst lyrics. That was where it went too far.
Yeah. It's not. That was also the moment where I was like, oh, maybe John Woo isn't. Maybe I don't want to watch John Woo movies. Because Mission Impossible 1 is really good. That is a really good movie. And then 3 is just fun. It's like, I love how much of a MacGuffin that fucking whatever it is in 3. I love that they never tell you what he was after that whole time. You never find out because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
It doesn't at all. What matters is watching Tom Cruise run.
Which is always hilarious.
It's always amazing to watch. Like, it's just cool. He runs so fucking weirdly. It's just always great to watch. Also, I've been watching, so in the build up to this, Cinema Sins has been doing videos on the other Mission Impossible movies, and he pointed out, Tom Cruise running might actually be a bigger thing than Tom Cruise riding a motorcycle, which is definitely still a thing. Tom Cruise still rides a motorcycle.
Yeah, like night and day.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Tom Cruise has to ride a motorcycle in every movie. He wrote a movie in Edge of Tomorrow.
His best motorcycle debut, not debut, but like one of his best scenes on a motorcycle is from Mission Impossible 2, man.
Oh, man.
They're both charging at each other and like doing wheelies, then they jump off and are shooting at each other. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Sounds about right. Mission Impossible 3 has, I think, some of the best Tom Cruise running, though. Some of the best. There's like that really long scene of like it's like a single shot of him just running. It's really good. You're just like, wow, your arms move so fucking stiffly.
You just described every single film he's in, though. There's that one scene where he's just a single shot of him running. That is literally every movie he's ever done.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is fun.
Another thing that this movie does that I always really appreciate and honestly get frustrated when it doesn't happen is there's a car chase and they have enough confidence in the car chase being tense enough that there's no background music in it because like just the sound of the tires is enough and the scene itself works and is tense enough that you don't need to like forcibly impose the emotion of the music on me, which is someone who loves fucking 70s car chase movies. Like that was a big thing in those movies. So I like that. It does cut a little too often for my taste, but it at least has that moment where it's got a car chase that's good enough that it stands on its own. Then it has a motorcycle chase with music right after.
I feel like the remake of Gone in 60 Seconds had that too. I seem to remember. Like
that movie, but I don't remember it very well.
Like I'm thinking specifically of when he's trying to get away from everybody because he stole the Shelby at the very end, the unicorn, as he calls it or whatever. Unicorn. I seem to remember there just being like, basically the whole soundtrack for that part is like the rev of the engine and squealing of tires on corners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool, really
Yeah.
effective.
Yep. If you are doing a good chase scene, you don't need the music. It's not necessary. It's like a mask to hide if your driving chase sucks. And if it's good, you don't need it.
Yeah. I remembered one more thing I watched.
Oh, but
Sonny Annie, the Supersonico, the animation. That show's great. That show's great. It's so dumb. Have you seen it?
no.
You have to watch it. It's so
All right.
fucking stupid. I love it. I don't really know what to say about it.
What is it called?
It's like Soniani, like Sony Annie or something like that. Supersonico, the animation. It's just about Sonico and like what she's doing, like being a model and in a band and chilling. It's great. It's fucking great. Yeah, I don't know. There's I don't. It's one of those like fan servicey animes, 100%. But it knows it is, so it's kind of okay. Like the first episode is like one. Like the biggest problem in the first episode is that she's like at a model shoot, and then one of the like perverted CEO people for this magazine she's shooting for is like, now we want you to wear this, and like that's the biggest problem of that episode.
Great.
And then her like manager comes, who's a guy in a fucking devil mask, and he's just like really creepy. I don't know. It's like the quintessential dumb anime bullshit anime. And it's great. There's like kitties. I like cats, so that's cool. Yeah, it's a good time. That's what I was posting a few screenshots from. I don't really know what to say about it. I gotta watch more of it, but there's only like 12 episodes.
Fair enough.
And actually, they're pretty recent, so maybe more will come out one day. They're from last year, 2015 or 14. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about that.
Okay. I probably won't watch it because I've seen too many of those fan servicey anime.
Fair enough. But then we could talk about it every week.
Would we really have anything to talk about, really?
How many times we watched episode 5? It's like, I had to watch it 7 times to really understand the true meaning of what's going on here.
Look, I have anime for that, if that's what you want, but, true.
I've been wanting to watch Food Wars really badly, so that might be the next one. Is that on Crunchyroll?
Yes, it's on Crunchyroll.
Oh, then I'll 100% watch it. Because for some reason, I don't know if I brought this up ever. I didn't even realize until probably a couple months ago when like I started watching Sailor Moon Crystal that I've had a subscription to Crunchyroll for like 2 years that I've been paying for. So I have a whole bunch of free like 2-day trial friend codes. So if anybody ever wants one, I have like an inbox full of a bunch of them because you get one every month.
Huh.
I don't know if they're still good though. That's the only problem. But if you want a 2-day all like no holds barred Crunchyroll thing, let me know. I could hook you up. I should just sell them. Sell them for $20 a piece. $10 a day.
I'd be surprised if you had any takers. I would be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the only problem is I've had them for a long time, so they probably run out every month, I would assume. So I might only have 1 or 2, but I could still give those out. I don't fucking care.
Yep. There's a lot of anime on Crunchyroll. There's a lot of anime that isn't on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, like the original Sailor Moon series.
Yep. Because like everything that Funimation owns is on Hulu instead, basically. Which kind of sucks because Funimation's pretty big.
Yeah.
And Hulu sucks.
Yeah, it does. Like that one time, we don't have Hulu up here. So that one time that you were like on Rabbit or whatever, and there was a commercial like every commercial break, and it was the
Yep.
same shit. I was just like, how do you like in the world we live in now in 2015? How do people put up with this shit? Like, I don't
I don't know,
understand.
man. I only put up with that because streaming that on Rabbit was like a way to get me to sit down and watch stuff. Like just having people to chat with. Like I wanted that. I can't deal with Hulu under normal circumstances. It's fucking ridiculous. It's most ridiculous to me that you can pay for Hulu and you still get ads. Like there's content that's locked behind the paywall, but you still get ads. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
It makes no sense to me.
Doesn't to me either. Especially since we have Show Me up here now, which is basically like I don't have any preconceived notions that like it's a thing that they're doing because they see how like the times are changing and want to fix themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the only reason it's provided by cable companies is so that they can still force people to pay for like a subscription to their service every month,
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't have TV, because like you still need to have an account with these cable providers to get access to it.
Yeah.
But my thing is that I get internet from them anyway, so why not take advantage of it?
Yeah.
But it's nice because it's basically Netflix, but it has more TV shows than like
Yep.
movies. So I'm guessing that's kind of what Hulu is too.
Hulu is like every current TV
TV show. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it also has like Criterion. Oh no. I think it has Criterion movies or something. It has something specific that makes people want it. Some people want it. And it has like anime stuff that's not anywhere else. But yeah.
Yeah.
I mean with my parents' cable, I get to access to a similar uh Netflix type thing that just has everything that's on demand online. So I use that for my like Netflix equivalent usually.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of all we've been doing except for the big thing that I think we're going to talk about now.
Yeah.
We finally went back into the world of Yalaton in Dungeons and Dragons.
Fucking finally.
It took so long. It's been like probably a month, right? At least.
At least.
Maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. It's been a long fucking time, but we all somehow managed to make it at the same... We all managed to be in the same place at the same time and went hard. We went for like 4.5 hours.
Yep.
Which is great. Because...
Took a little break in there, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the actual... My streaming went on for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And I had 4 videos of each... Wait, 131... Yeah, we had about 4 hours worth of content.
And then we
did.
talked about stuff afterwards too. So
Yeah,
we were
exactly.
we were in that call for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun times.
It was really good times. So I'm glad we were able to do that. Even better is that I feel we've all hit our stride now with like what we want from D&D and are being able to play to that. Like there was very little out of character anything that session. Very little. And that's awesome. Like that's a really good thing because I remember going back to like the first session and stuff and asking Tony about stuff and like what I do for this, blah blah blah, and this time it just felt like, okay, I'm going to do a perception check to see this thing. And like
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good time and I'm glad that we hit our stride. Like we feel comfortable with it. I'm even more glad that we feel so comfortable now with the mechanics that we can fuck around in it.
Yeah. We've taken to the role play mechanic stuff pretty well, I think. To the
Yeah.
point where like when the combat started and it was like all quiet, I was like, oh. We're like, well, actually, I wanted to be doing this before for like the combat mechanical stuff, but now it's like the mechanics of role playing are like the big thing kind of right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the role-playing mechanics part are what kind of drive the game. Like,
Yeah.
Whereas, like, the actual quote-unquote gameplay would be the battling, to get
Hmm.
there is kind of the fun part for me right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes like that D&D does that you can't do in a video game. That's like, because like to me that's a big part of it. Like what is part of this tabletop game that hasn't really transitioned properly over? And it's a lot of that like social mechanical stuff of like skills and doing bullshit and then just the DM coming up with the way to justify you doing it through the rules or whatever.
Like, yeah, I mean, the big difference is between this and a video game. Like, let's just ignore the fact that you can never possibly program, until we have artificial intelligence, a game to read, like, different inputs and
Hmm.
provide different ways to go around things. But, like, even Tony, like, as our DM, I'm pretty sure he had a set idea of how this was going to go. Maybe we would have had 2 or 3 fights that would have
Hmm.
taken up a lot of time, and then maybe like an hour of role play total, like in between them, because we were supposed to go into like rat heavy territory and do all that stuff. But instead, we tried to be a little bit more diplomatic and were stealthier, like left in the morning when they weren't around and talked to people instead of going in and like fighting groups of people or trying to get information, strong arming people.
Uh-huh.
And then like the only one fight we had was subverted by like some weird like fucking MacGyver scheme that was cooked up at the last minute. Like it was great because even the fighting really didn't happen.
I know. We worked around like everything he had planned.
But like he was saying that as like a DM that scares the shit out of him. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of a nightmare. But also he says it's the fun part of the game where like he has to actually do like he got to do some playing as a character because we inadvertently made one of the NPCs a player character for him
Hmm.
by like actually including him in part of the group. But also, like, as the DM part, he had to play the game as in, like, I have to make the shit up on the fly as they go. And because of it, we still have material for the next time, so he doesn't even have to work on anything. Like,
Yeah.
we had a full 5-hour session, basically, that we all made up together.
Yeah.
And that's great. Like, I
Yeah.
think that speaks to like how we're getting better for one thing, but more importantly how he's built like as a DM, how he leaves it open enough that like this is our world, it's not his.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
He allowed us to go off the rails and just had to fucking wing it
yeah,
to the extent that he could.
and like if we had a stringent DM that was just like, no, you're kind of like guessing my world sort of thing, so I'm not going to allow that, I'm not going to allow this, and blah, blah, blah. I think we would have been stronger in our understanding of stuff faster, maybe, but I don't think we would have had as much of a fun time
Oh yeah, yeah, for
as
sure.
like a
Like
first
we
time
would
through.
we might have chafed against just because of like the way we played. It feels like if he had been too stringent, we might have chafed against some of that stuff. So
Yeah, exactly.
it could have gotten a little more frustrating
For
because
like your first
we
time
like going
through.
off we like going off the rails. Yeah.
Like it would be different if maybe we've been doing this for a few years and it's like, you know what, we want to take this campaign a little bit more seriously, like let's go full mechanical, like we're here and we can like go through the story as written and make sure it's all like we can make a lot of progress sort of thing, like maybe a progression sort of thing instead of a sandbox.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that like, well, you guys are new, so here's a sandbox to play in. And
Hmm.
that's what's really kind of made the difference for me anyway.
Yeah.
Either way, there's VODs up now on YouTube for that stuff. I highly recommend watching all of it, obviously, because it's a long recurring story. If you have to watch one thing, watch the ninth and 10th part with the meeting and then the cupcakes after.
It's real dumb.
Those I
It's
think
real
those are the
good.
ones. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. That was a good time. I look forward to it every time we do it. I'm always a little nervous every time we do it too about how it's going to turn up cuz the thing that I've been liking too is that when we kind of split off and some people are doing something and other people are doing something and you're not doing anything for a bit. I like kind of just sitting back and watching and listening to the story. Like I become the viewer at that point,
Hmm.
and I'm having fun doing that too. So it's been great. Like I just wish we could do them more often. That's the only complaint I have. Like it's so good. I want to do it more. That's the complaint.
Yeah.
But this week you'll have the chance to do more next weekend
Yep.
because there will be that We're Not Soldiers. Yeah, that's what it's called. We're Not Soldiers is being done with a bunch of community people that have never played before either.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to go? Do you have any suspicions on, like, if they're going to pick it up right away or if it might be a little rocky at the start? Or
Uh, Probably. It's gonna be rockier than like our last session. Like it just is because we've got people who have never played before, so they're gonna be the rough edges. But I think it'll be fine. I think we will roll. People will roll with the punches.
Yeah, I think it'll help that you'll be there to kind of move things along as well as kind of
Hmm.
like us. Like I don't really like to use this term, but you're going to be kind of a crutch, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's like maybe we should do like I think you'll probably still have to do it in character, but you can lightly suggest maybe you should do this to people if they're stuck on what we should do next, sort of thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna play that stuff by ear and see how much I have to
Yeah, for sure.
do it. But for me, I'm like as worried about like playing a different character from what we're playing in the my bard, playing my wizard.
I'm worried
Who's
that you're gonna like it so much you're not gonna want to play the bard anymore.
uh that probably that probably won't happen because the that kind of greed character is one that I've wanted to see in a story. Really, that's the kind of character. That's a character I've just always liked and gravitated towards. So, like when I had like my closest thing to role playing was when me and my friends as kids had like a Lego world that had like politics and like societies and characters all built up that we played out over years, and like my big character in that was a fucking greedy thief asshole who ran a nation of mercenaries. So I've always sort of like he was like a cross between like Wario and um fucking like just a mustache twirling bad guy. Like I
Nice.
was always gravitated to that. Oh, he was a cross between Destro from GI Joe basically and Wario.
Oh, okay.
That's basically what he was. I've always sort of gravitated to that kind of character. So this is something different. This mage is going to be not interested in gold at all. So
Yeah. What's he gonna be interested in? Do you have any idea?
fire,
Oh, okay.
fire.
Okay.
That's why I had to have
The
that
ever burning torch.
the ever burning torch, man. Just cause fire. Just
Okay.
gotta have fire.
His name is Flamio,
It's true.
so there's something to that. I think it'll be interesting to see like a single session scenario as opposed to like this grand campaign that we're a part of. I kind of like
Hmm.
the idea of having a self-contained thing where like there is an end that we can see and sight and see. Like you'll have to let me know how you like the difference between playing the two ways after, obviously, but
Hmm.
I think it'll invite a fun dynamic of just like you kind of don't have to worry about wasting a daily power, for instance. Like you can use, but then again, you'll never have the chance again. So maybe you want to save it until you need it, sort of thing. Like
Hmm.
I don't know.
Like
I think it'll
like
be cool.
like I figure you wouldn't want to use the daily power in the first encounter, but yeah.
Right. And but like maybe one of the last ones, like if you feel there's a grand thing that you're like, oh, this fight is probably the last one because I'm fighting like an ancient dragon or something. Maybe we're gonna blow everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think the structure will also like be much better for new people. It's like that it's going to be probably clearer what we need to do, and there won't be as much room for like just wondering where to go or who to talk to or whatever.
Yeah, and for that regard, like I'm so happy that we have Tony DMing stuff for us, where he's like willing to do this sort of thing and introduce new people into like this world as well. Because the biggest problem I had is that I've always been interested in D&D, but I've
Hmm.
never had. I never wanted to go down to like the gaming store or whatever when they were doing D&D nights and say like, "Can I play?" Because that's kind of weird when I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
anything about it really. And like I've never had the like group of friends that are just like, let's play this and stuff and we'll all learn it together. Nobody I grew up with was really interested in that type of tabletop pen and paper stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that not only with the internet we're able to do all this stuff, but like we found a guy who's so into it, he wants to get people that were like me into this world as well, is super cool. And like the best way we can do it is by doing a bunch of like little different stories and stuff, which kind of makes my ADD for stories and stuff like
Hmm.
soothed a little bit, because I want to see a bunch of different stuff. I don't always just want one big thing.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, no, I'm super stoked about all of it, and I'm even more stoked because this weekend I don't have to do anything. I just have to like be there to watch and listen and not
Yeah.
say a word and hang out in the chat room. Like it'll be great. I get to be the viewer, and I'm so excited.
I'm excited to play in it just because more doing D&D because it's always been a thing that I just never was in a like when I had either like when I was a kid it never happened because just we like my group of friends just went super deep. Magic the Gathering, whatever the
Right.
groups of friends was the thing, so D&D just never even came up. And then when I was like in college and knew people who were running D&D groups, they were all way more experienced and like super already into it, so I didn't feel comfortable. Just like I felt super intimidated, basically,
Yeah.
because people were way too in-depth knowledgeable about it and had their own way of doing stuff. So I never got into it before, but I'd always sort of like seen it and it seemed cool. So it's cool to be doing it finally.
Has this made you want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit further and start learning like second edition and fifth edition and like the more hardcore sects of D&D, where like you create your own characters from like different tables and stuff like that, like the way more open thing? Or are you pretty comfortable in just the constrained, like this is a little bit more simplified and accessible, that's why we're doing it version?
I'd be fine with learning any deep thing if there was a group to play it. It's like I don't feel the need to dive too deep in actually myself learning stuff if I'm not going to be playing a game. I like hearing stories about stuff. Like I've watched YouTube videos on D&D stuff or whatever of like older stuff. But actually like diving into the books doesn't interest me unless I've like playing a game. And like with a big thing I've learned is like it's super hard to organize this stuff. So
It is,
it
yeah.
just that part of it is like why the organizational part of it also was like the requirements for running extended campaigns was over super intimidating. So like my interest in just diving into these books it's limited because it's like then I can learn this thing that I'll never play.
Yeah. What about other like pen and paper tabletop stuff that kind of share the same things but aren't D&D, like Shadowrun specifically? Whole different like world environment and stuff going on, a whole different rolling system.
That I mean, I would fucking love learning any of that stuff if I had a group to play with. All that shit, it's all cool. I like all of it. It would be just cool seeing a like, oh, this is interesting, but I don't think this is as good, or this is better. Like all that stuff seems cool. I just it would always come to like the getting the frustrated because of never having people to play with.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that for sure. I'd like to like be part of like a fully homegrown thing. Like maybe like a Fallout thing that fans put together or something, like an apocalyptic wasteland scenario or something.
Hmm.
Like, or like I was thinking about like what I liked about Stick of Truth is that it basically had this like RPG D&D almost style with like school kids and just the city of South Park. So it'd be kind of cool to maybe like have a tabletop game where you're playing like different cliques or something, like
Hmm.
different people from different cliques, almost like the Breakfast Club or something of a high school. So like you would have like your jocks or whatever would be like the bruisers, the nerds would be like the intelligence people and stuff like that. Like I think that'd be neat doing some
Yeah,
homegrown
I,
things.
I have that list of ridiculous D&D ideas,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
I added to a couple days ago.
Oh, really?
I think I got like 6 or 7 more. But yeah, all that stuff sound is like actually running another campaign is like fucking seems so stressful to me right now. It's more like
Yeah,
being excited to see these one shot stuff play out. The thing I
yeah.
want to get, like, I want to play board games because those you just play a night and then cool stuff happens.
I agree with you. The problem is I don't really like a lot of tabletop simulator stuff because some board games that you can get on there, although I want to play them, have too many little pieces that are easy to fuck up.
Hmm.
Like Betrayal on Haunted Hill or whatever, the house on the hill or whatever.
Hmm.
I want to do that one, but like there's room tiles and then tokens that go on top of that, and I could just see somebody pulling like all of them when they're trying to move their token. Like it's a
Hmm.
little too shitty for very
Yeah.
precise stuff like that. It seems like it would be really the best for card game based stuff. So
Hmm.
maybe we could look into that. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, why don't we look into? I know, like a lot of board game manufacturers, to keep up with the times, are releasing digital versions of their board games, and those would be cool to do.
Hmm.
Yeah, we should look into more of those for sure.
Yeah. The the last time I've played a board game was actually playing the D&D board game, which is
Oh
fucking
yeah,
really cool. I really like that game. It's basically just you run a dungeon that's like procedurally generated.
is
That was
that
cool
on something
stuff.
we could try? Like, we should play that one day.
I've only played it in real life, so I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's in Tabletop Simulator, but that's probably like has all those jank issues, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I just thought that that was a cool thing, and it just makes like I want to do that again. Like I was looking at just buying that thing just to have it, even though I probably wouldn't have enough people to play it with, just because I
yeah.
like that game.
I know
Just
there's
like,
like a
like
Pathfinder board game and stuff as well. I've been wanting to
mhm.
try.
I just like I like board game stuff, and that's like you can get there are weird, complicated board games, but they're never going to be structured that you're running them more than a night. So, which is like the whole appeal to me right now is like doing a thing that's weird and cool and is hanging out with people, and then in one night you're done. Because organizing schedules is the worst.
It really is. Yeah. And the problem also though is finding board games that like you could all learn in a night and then like another board game for like different people the next week or whatever, cuz like you said scheduling people is hard, so it's kind of like hard to ask I want you to learn the rules of like say the Doom board game or
Mm,
something so we could play it this week, and then like maybe three people do and the last person's like, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't read it. So can you explain it?" It's like, "Well, that's the whole reason why we wanted you to read it, because we just want to play," sort of thing. Like there's still some time investment that scheduling can be a headache with tabletop stuff.
it's true. It's just always going to be less than running
Oh,
a
yeah.
campaign by a fucking such a large extent.
I'm just
Because
happy
you're
that with
it's
our campaign, we only have to worry about timetables now. We don't have to worry about, like, does this person in our group even know how to play their character? Like, that part's done. We all know how to play the game. Now we just have to find time to do it.
yeah, for sure. We've and we've all meshed in terms of personality and people knowing their shit. We've got that all down, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's been good. I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
I guess not.
I think that's an episode. We're done.
Hooray!
So, thanks for listening as always, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening. Bye.